So great to be here. Really is. I come to Thailand and there's so much generosity for me. So it's a holiday of the heart coming to Thailand. It's always good to start a retreat with gratitude, I think. You know, how fortunate we are to be good friends. Friendship, huh? That's a thing. To trust each other, to be able to live in a way where we feel safe to explore our inner world. You need safety. You know, when you start to go inwards and you want to look at the tricky bits of your heart, you do need safety. You need trust. So we have that. We have that here with friends. And then we have the generosity of our donors who have generously offered this retreat to us. So the Angel Group, who have worked hard to create this and also sponsored this retreat. Ratana and their beautiful family, sisters and one brother, and etc. Dom Tanit and family, Yom Tip and family. So we have four sponsors and a larger group who are sponsoring this retreat. So it's very much like a monastic retreat. Like a monastery is a place where things are offered to the monks and they practice with that. And one of the things we practice is gratitude rather than what's the word? Contentment with little rather than wanting something different. And this is very important in developing the heart, because if our relationship to the material world is always one of wanting better, wanting different, wanting special, wanting bigger, wanting smaller, wanting more comfortable, wanting less comfortable, then the mind can never be free. That's the first basic thing, is to be content with little. Indriya Samvara, Santuti, I think. In Thai, you say, must be a Thai word for it. Anyone know the Pali? Santuti, anyway. Santoshini. I think in Sri Lanka you have a name, Santoshini. The contentment with little is something that I was taught a lot in Thailand. And like if you purchase something, then you often say, well, it's I don't like this and I don't like that. But here we're not purchasing this retreat. We're coming, we're experiencing the generosity of our sponsors. I am not charging anything for the retreat. Yom Uraiwan puts on this retreat and her staff, they do a lot of work just covering all these chairs in white, in white cloth. Each time they put out more plants, more beautiful plants. So there's all this generous energy gone so that we can do this retreat. So if you feel that, there's something that you like different, then look at that as an object and be content with little. That's the craft of the heart. These are very foundational things. So thank you to the sponsors. Thank you to Yomurai. When this, I don't know if you know this hall, what was it, built 4 years ago, maybe? We did our retreats in a little hall here in the interview room, correct? Yeah. And then we told Yom Uraiwan, the owner of this place and manager and so on, we said, it's too small. We want to find another place. And she wanted us to do a meditation here. She didn't want us to leave. So she built this. I mean, she built it like within a few months, right? For me in Canada, it took us 10 years to build a Dhamma hall. And whoa. And, this is maybe bigger, I'm not sure. So these are beautiful things that we are a part of. I think this is our sixth year where we've done this retreat. We know each other. I think most of us have quite a lot of experience in meditation, so we just kind of get on with it. Hopefully, I can add a little bit to help. But meditation is on a Meditation retreats, it's an interesting activity of community and solitude, isn't it? We're doing this together and we have a routine. And the routine is very, very vague, actually. There isn't that much structure in it. There's a lot of free time to make problems for yourself or to meditate. Um, but although we're in a group, we're also practicing solitude. So the whole idea of noble silence is to give each of us a private time, to give each of us a time of solitude. And solitude is something you don't get much. Monastics get a lot of solitude, but you have big families, you have work, you have responsibilities. So do consider that if you want to talk, that you're going to draw another person out, and maybe they don't want to talk. Maybe they want their solitude. Maybe you feel lonely and you want to talk to someone. Someone come and talk, talk, talk to a tree. Talk. We just saw a snake. You could talk to a snake, something like that. But quite seriously, remember, guard your own solitude and guard the other person's solitude. That's an act of respect and consideration. And being quiet. Noble silence refers to actually no thought. Doesn't just refer to speech which is correct or not talking. It actually really refers to the mind which is silent. And for all of us, thinking is just so loud, always yak, 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 always going on. So part of the way to come to inner silence is first of all to practice right speech, and on a retreat, it's noble silence. So do try to observe that as a way of looking at, if you like to talk, as a way of wanting to talk. Look at the wanting, let go of the wanting. Obviously, a retreat is easier for people who are solitary. Some of us are by nature solitaries. By nature, we like to be alone. By nature, not talking is actually an easy thing. Some of us are more gregarious. You know, the word gregarious means talk a lot. And that's just so the person who is a solitary has an easier time with retreat. Um, but if you are gregarious, then just try to look at that and not draw other people into talking. But it's not something that you want to do in a way that you're frightened to speak. Like, oh, here comes the Ajahn, we better be quiet. Or here comes Vibhu, and we better whisper, or something like that. It is about being silent. It's not about whispering in the corner. And the more you can do that for yourselves, the more the retreat has a sense of gravity in it. Um, if you need to say something, we can say something. So I would emphasize that. It's a good thing. Kindness. If it's going to be the craft of the heart, then obviously we need to be kind to ourselves and kind to each other. Simple enough. Now, sometimes there'll be things that take place where we feel critical of each other, annoyed at each other. Sometimes we'll feel inspired with each other. Um, but all of it you can observe with a sense of open-heartedness. So if you're feeling critical about the person who sits next to you because they're restless, then you can look at that critical mind with an open heart. Oh, critical mind is like this. So it's not that you won't be critical, and you want to be honest about that, but you don't pursue that. You pursue the kind heart. These are again simple things: contentment with little, sense restraint. When we talk about noble silence, it's indriya samvara. In you got a Thai word for that? Alane? Insi sangwon, indri sangwara. So that's one of the basic principles of contemplative life is sense restraint. In other words, you're not going out all the time into sense experience. Part of it is talking, and the most difficult part in this modern age is your device. So what's the deal? Everyone's devices has been surrendered. Now, no cheating. Don't go in the middle of the night looking for your device. But really, quite seriously, that use of a device creates a lot of restlessness because as soon as you feel bored, and meditation is boring, sometimes you want to look at something, do something, observe something, consume something, talk with someone. There's a wanting to go out into some sense experience. So Indriya Samvara is noticing that and not going out. And the beauty of a retreat, it's designed where there's actually not much to do, not much to distract. So if you feel restless for the first few days of the retreat, you should feel restless. That would only make sense, wouldn't it? Because you've been active, you've been doing things, you've been taking up responsibilities. Tarek, I imagine, what you've been up to recently, and all of us. Um, so if you feel restless, that's the way it should be. It only makes sense. But if you observe the restlessness without critiquing it, without think you should feel anything, then the mind will settle. It will settle. That's its nature. So if we're on a retreat, remember, we're not filling the mind with anything. Like a retreat is also not um, it's not a study program. I'm not going to offer you all kinds of curricula that you're going to go back to your kuti and you're going to study and you're going to get lists and you're going to pass the Sotapatti exam at the end of the retreat. It doesn't work that way. So it's not an intellectual exercise where you're filling the mind with concepts, but it's actually more like an emptying out, a letting go, a liberation. And so when we talk about the heart, it's coming down here. Really, that's simple. Coming down here, getting out of the head, coming down here. And that's surprisingly difficult. I mean, I think it's an easy idea to understand when we say um, someone is open-hearted. We understand that. Someone has a broken heart. We can understand that. And for me, like in teaching Luangpor Cha, he said, don't prepare talks, as you know, but speak from your heart. So um, trying to share Dhamma has always been a craft of the heart kind of a thing. Um, and just that simple noticing of thought and saying to yourself, more silence, more silence, more silence. Just very simple, rather than getting caught up in analyzing why you're thinking, more silence, and then coming to the heart. Very simple, but hard to do. Very hard to do, hard to keep with that. When you think of craft of the heart, in English, heart can be the central issue. So the heart of the central issue of something, the heart. And so you could say the heart of Buddhism is what? What would you say? The heart of the Buddhist teachings? Well, for me, it's two things. I was thinking about this. Yonpung suggested this topic. For me, it's one is the Buddha's enlightenment. To me, you don't have Buddhism if you don't have his enlightenment. And then the teaching then hangs on that. If you just do Buddhist psychology, and if you just do being a good person, that's great. Sadhu, 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 and you will be happier. But it seems to me, obviously, the central issue, the heart of the Buddhist teaching has to be something about his enlightenment. He realized something, and then he taught from that. So what is that? What did he realize? To me, that statement, there is the uncreated, the unconditioned, the unborn, the deathless, nibbana, peace, the harbor, the island. Those are very central to my understanding of Buddhism. I don't know. Like I always ask people, so why do you come to this? Why do you give up 10 days of work life and do something very difficult? Doing a retreat's not easy. It's not easy to stop and look at your minds. I mean, I commend you in giving this a go, but why do you do it? What do you see? as I say, what's the project for you? Now, the project for me, as I always say on retreats, comes um, from the story of the Buddha as Bodhisattva, who is a prince and is successful and has doubt and goes out into the village. His charioteer takes him and he sees an old man, he sees a sick man, he sees a dead man, could have been a woman, and he sees a sadhu. And then from that, he's shocked by old age, sickness, and death. And the sadhu, what the sadhu is doing, he's searching for the unconditioned. And that to me is it's obviously you know it's, it's a story that's just portraying something that is beyond history. So all of us were Siddhartha at one time. We were all kind of successful, no? We, we probably did played around with life, and at some point we became disillusioned. I don't know about you. I became disillusioned very, very young, and then I kept trying to be inspired by conventional truths and conventional achievements, and I couldn't do it. I was disillusioned, disillusioned, disillusioned until finally my mind produced for me some transcendent experience. And then I knew that's what I had to do. So are you are you disillusioned with samsara? Or what would that mean? Are you interested in the unconditioned? Or what is your interest? Why do you do this? I can't answer it for you. But this was a very, very central to my own understanding of why the Buddha then teaches the way he teaches. So it's very important for me. I think we call that an aphorism. No, when you have a story, a moral story. Uh, I had the word earlier. Anyway, I don't take that story as reality. Like the Buddha was a prince and he had 610 wives, and then he went out with his charioteer. I don't take that as a reality. I take it as a moral story about our own sense of who we are in our own search for truth. So from that, to me, the Buddha says there is the unconditioned, the uncreated, the unoriginated, the unformed, the deathless. Nibbana is the word we're more familiar with, the island. So all the teaching for me must somehow help us realize that. Correct? Would you agree? Otherwise, why would you teach it? What would you teach? So that's the context so then what does he teach? So if you want to talk about the heart of the teaching, then we have the Four Noble Truths and three characteristics. Now, if you follow the logic of that, if something is anicca, it cannot be unconditioned. It cannot be unchanging. It cannot be deathless. It cannot be nibbana. If anything is changing, it can't be it. So it is dukkha. Not dukkha in the sense of unpleasant. It's just not where you look. You don't look for the realization of nibbana in something that's changing. Huh? And anything that's changing, you don't own. It's not yours. It's nature's. This body, these emotions, the car, your kids, all the rest of it. So when the Buddha taught anicca dukkha anatta, he taught that, I think, in contrast to that which is conditioned. Now, when you look at the Four Noble Truths, the Four Noble Truths says desire for conditioned experience will not take you to the unconditioned. It'll take you to suffering. And so we have suffering. Whereas awareness of change takes you inwards to Nibbana. Very simple. So let's say, if you're sitting here during this retreat And let's say you're a super sitter. Some people are super sitters. They can sit for 2 hours without moving. That's rare. But let's say you can just sit really, really well. And the person next to you is a super mover. They can't sit for 5 minutes. Then you have interesting practice. I think that happened last year. I think we had a super sitter and a super mover. So the super sitter was annoyed at the super mover, and the super mover was intimidated by the super sitter. I think that was true. So what's going on? Well, the super sitter is trying to get samadhi and maybe has a little bit of samadhi. So is the super mover. So the super sitter is there, and then the super mover is irritating, annoying. Why? Because they're moving. I'm trying to meditate. I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to be on my breath. And this person keeps moving around. Why don't they stop moving? That's the mind going out and wanting an experience where there is no interruption. That's the delusion. But if you're looking or interested in the unconditioned, then any condition should be okay, whether you feel pleasure or pain, whether you feel happy or unhappy, should be okay because they're just coming and going. If you really understand, because you're interested in the unconditioned, which isn't an experience. And this is the difficult thing of meditation. It's not about getting an experience. It's not about getting some experience, honest. Because if you haven't got the experience now and you're trying to get it tomorrow, that cannot be the unconditioned. That has to be about birth. So you're left with what? What is not born and does not die. What is not born does not die. Well, it has to be awareness. What else could it be? What else could it be? It can't be your body. It can't be an experience. So if you come into this retreat seeking a samadhi experience, you might get it, but then you lose it. Has to be. So this is really hard to understand in meditation because so much of our conditioning is about Sotapatti, Anagami, Jhana 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 28. You know, this whole language about getting something, becoming something, which is bhava tanha, bhava tanha. Whereas nibbana or nirodha is about not getting anything, just knowing, being aware. And that's what I think is the heart of the practice. And this is the craft of the heart, is to be present and aware of the way things are, which is very simple, but we are complex. We have complex habits and we experience all kinds of complex things. And then the other way of thinking about, I won't be too long. I realize a lot of you are exhausted. You're coming from all kinds of places, but I have to earn my rice. So I'll just say a few more words, or otherwise I won't get fed breakfast. So please bear with me. So the other way of thinking about the heart is, of course, the heart. So you could think about it as the central issue. And I'll go over those ideas again because it's a lot in one session, but also just the open heart, which we talk as the Brahmaviharas. And the thing about the Brahmaviharas is they're not about going out. The Brahmavihara is about opening here. It's not about desire. Compassion is not desire, is it? I might want someone to be happy, but that's desire. Compassion is about the open heart. Metta, loving kindness, is about the open heart. Joy is about the open heart. Upekkha is about the open heart. It's not about desire. It's not about tomorrow or getting something. So these two, understanding the aspiration we have and then opening the heart, seem to me to be a lot. To be a lot to understand, a lot to practice. And those, I think, are the things I'll try to talk about over the retreat. So that's the first bit I said, that's a lot to take in, but I'll try to unpack that. And then there's the muscle, the blood thing. That's the heart too. And so take care of make sure you take your statins or whatever, whatever you need for the heart. When you go to bed, uh, if you can't fall asleep, this is natural. Like you're in a different space. If you can't fall asleep, then accept that rather than worry about falling asleep. Really, if you can't fall asleep, do yoga nidra. And if you fall asleep tomorrow during the meditation, we'll still feed you. So whatever happens now, just try to accept it. I can't sleep. Not being able to fall asleep feels like this. If you sleep through till 10 in the morning, falling asleep feels like this. That's okay too. If you're really, really exhausted tomorrow morning, well, what do we start at 5 and 5:30? If you're really exhausted, just sleep. Don't worry about it. Like that's the first thing. And I realize you're coming from work situations. You might be really exhausted. Don't worry. Just we'll wake you for breakfast. Huh? So that's the first thing. Take care of your body. The body needs sleep and the mind needs sleep. So try to make it be fun. Be fun to have you here. But if you don't make it a problem. And then your body will get adjusted. When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thought? What's the first thought? What's the first perception? What comes into your mind? Is it, oh God, um, or oh Buddha, or whatever you want to say? Is it one of aversion? Why are we up so early? Or is it one, oh, I'm going to meditate? Most people don't wake up with, oh, it's great, we're going to meditate. Most are kind of dragging themselves to brush their teeth and then have a shower or whatever. Try to wake up to that. Like, just think about it. If you wake up in the morning, whatever the mood of the mind is, if you can know it, you are puru. Now is the knowing. You know what's going on. And then you got a chance of not going down a negative avenue. If you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, well, this is a bad idea. God, I could have gone to Phuket and done some scuba diving or something like that, and you pick that up, then that will take you into breakfast. So you'll have a grumpy breakfast. You don't have to do that. So really, although I'm joking around, awakening is like 24/7, isn't it? You're waking up and don't follow the negative perceptions. Don't follow the perceptions and negativity that you have towards yourself, towards others. They're very painful, very, very painful. They don't open the heart. Give it a go. See what happens.